So today is all about Fragrance.one Office for Men. Anyone who's been around on the channel for a while now would know that I did a review on this one earlier on in this year. I believe it was sometime in the spring, because I got a sample of it from one of my friends in the community. He sent me a 10 ml, which is it right here, and I've used the whole thing up. There's just a very small amount left, and I reviewed this fragrance from this sample. Just like my goal with all my fragrance reviews, I keep them 100% honest. I keep them my thoughts. That's what I did in that initial review, and that's what I'm going to do today as well. But after several months later, my opinions and my thoughts on this fragrance has changed, and ultimately that ended up leading to me purchasing a batch 2 bottle, as you can see right here. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you my full thoughts on this fragrance. We're going to talk about the performance, versatility, compliment factor, and everything. Before we do jump into that though, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Also turn on post notifications and give this video a like. And I also want to hear from you guys. Before we start the review, let me know down below in the comments what you think of this one, if you like it, if you don't like it. Maybe you haven't tried it and you want to. If you want to speculate on whether or not you think you'd like it, just let me know down below. And yeah, let's go and jump into this. Normally in my reviews, I don't talk about presentation, but I figured I would do that with this review just because the presentation was kind of an area of controversy when the first batch of this came out in the square bottle with no cap. I do want to talk quickly about the second batch bottle here. I do like it. I like it more than I was expecting. Feels really nice in the hand. Doesn't feel awkward or weird to hold. The cap leaves a little bit to be desired, but it does click into place and you can pick it up by the cap easily. The cap is pretty thin feeling, but it's not really going to bend or break unless you're really rough with it. One touch that I do like is the fact that the sprayer tube is completely clear, so you really can't see it at all unless you're really looking, which is cool. Looks way better than if it was a white solid tube going down the middle. So overall presentation very much improved upon from the first batch that came out. I do have the box. It's just a white box. I'm not going to bring it out and show it to you guys because it's really, you know what it looks like from the pictures. I just wanted to talk about the bottle though. Not too bad. I'm really impressed. Now let's go and talk about the most important part, which is the scent. We'll start with the opening. When you first spray this one on, what you get hit with right away is a lot of bergamot and ambroxan. That's really what I get up front initially, just a lot of that all at once. It's something that really bombards your nose and just kind of hits you in the face. And what people say about this hitting you in the face is true. It is very strong right off the opening. And smelling the opening of this gives you a pretty good idea of what this fragrance is all about and kind of tells you what type of genre this fragrance fits into. Being that this was created for office wear and created to get compliments, that kind of tells you on its own what category this is going to be in, but smelling it just kind of confirms that. This isn't really anything that is completely new, completely groundbreaking. Kind of fits in with the Dior Sauvages and all of those blue types of fragrances. But at the end of the day, I do feel like that's kind of what they were aiming for. You're wanting something mass pleasing. You're wanting something that you can wear for work and really wear for about anything. This type of DNA is just tried and proven, and it's just what works. There's been a lot of fragrances that are released that are in this genre, and they still are coming. This wasn't the first one, and this wasn't the last one either. Love it or hate it, we kind of just have to live with it at this point. To me, this does have something a little bit different to offer, mainly when you start to get into the mid and Drydown. The ambroxan and that bergamot is still present, but what I start to pick up on is just a little bit of a spicy note. Looking at the notes on Fragrantica, I don't see anything like that. There's no like pepper listed, but I do pick up on this spicy touch. Along with that, like a little bit of a warmth and musky smell as well. There is patchouli listed, and in the Drydown, I do get a soft patchouli. It's nothing that overpowers the composition, but it does create just a little bit of depth and backbone, just gives it a little bit of substance. I do like how this goes a little bit warm and sweet in the Drydown. You know, that bergamot ambroxan blast in the opening is very nice and invigorating, but if it smelled like that throughout the life of the fragrance, I wouldn't really like it as much. I do like that once that starts to die down, you start to have the scent on your skin for a while, you start to get a little bit more to smell, a little bit more to pick up on, and for me, it makes it a lot more enjoyable. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, where it starts to go in a different direction compared to some of the other fragrances out there. But it still is very fresh and invigorating, and by no means does it turn into a sweet fragrance. That's not what I'm trying to tell you here. Still does maintain that ambroxan freshness, but it does have a little bit of depth as you get into the Drydown. This one has grown on me a lot. I was completely honest in my initial review. Didn't give it a negative review. I just gave it pretty much a neutral review because that's how I felt. I was very neutral on the scent at that time when I first tried it. After a while, I kept going back to that sample. As you saw, I used it all up, and my opinions changed on it to the point now where I like it more now than I did in the beginning. And really, I feel like that's the case with a lot of fragrance releases out there. I mean, even look at Aventus. When you talk about 2010 batches when it was first released in 2010, not a lot of people really liked it as much, at least compared to now. That first year of it being released, people weren't really all that crazy about it. It's not until 2011 came around and the batch talk really started to pick up. That's when people really started to kind of go crazy for the scent. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen here. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I have no idea. I can't predict that. But I do feel like with a lot of new releases comes a lot of hate right away, which may or may not be warranted or necessary. Of course, this is all opinion based. What I may like, you may not, and vice versa. I say that in all of my videos. So it's really important to kind of go into stuff with a grain of salt. Don't expect every fragrance you smell to be something that you're going to love, because it's not always going to be the case. This fragrance here does a pretty good job of going in that mass-pleasing direction where anyone who picks this up and sprays this on is most likely going to like it, and anyone who smells this on you is most likely going to like it as well. So let's go and touch on the performance of this one now. In my initial review, I did state that I didn't get the best performance from it. Now, one thing that I do have to keep in mind when testing fragrances like this with a prominent ambroxan note is I go nose blind to them extremely quickly. And I experience that a lot from fragrances like Dior Sauvage, like Invictus, Aqua Atlantique, and so on. And this one really is no exception. When I first spray this one on, after a while, it starts to get kind of hard for me to pick up. And initially, I thought that it was just not projecting very well or performing very well. Come to find out, I realized that, yeah, it was really my olfactory fatigue kicking in, even to the fact where it would sometimes make people around me go anosmic to the scent as well. And that's what was confusing me and throwing me off in my testing, because I figured, well, people around me can't smell it, then it really must be not performing that well. But after testing it more, I found that it does project really strongly. Just going with a couple sprays, it's going to be going well outside of your personal space here and pushing out very strong. In terms of longevity, it does last a very long time as well, which is advertised. This is advertised to be a strong projecting, long-lasting, mass-appealing fragrance, and really that's kind of what they've set out to do. And in terms of performance and everything like that, definitely does that well. In my times of testing it again before this review, I would often spray it on tester strips, and the scent would last on there for days. Really would. So really strong, not only on paper, but on skin as well. I get over 9 hours on my skin, which is really respectable, really great, and it does fit in with a lot of those other fragrances out there that I've been mentioning. So performance is great, and for the price that this goes for, you would hope that it would perform great. Versatility on this one, pretty self-explanatory here, but I'll cover it quickly anyway. It is office for men, so it was designed for the office, but you can wear it, in my personal opinion, for anything. If you want to wear it on a date, you could. If you wanted to wear it to school, you could. If you wanted to wear it for whatever, you could. This has that type of DNA where this could be one of those signature scent types of fragrances. That's just kind of what it is. So could work for really anything, would do great for work. It is pretty strong though, so depending on where you work, if they have rules on fragrances, you might have to be careful with it. Maybe only go with 1 or 2 sprays because it will project a lot, just kind of depending on what you do for work. Just be careful with it. But yeah, really can work for about anything. Could work for any time of year as well, spring, summer, fall, winter. It's not really going to matter. It has the performance where it could push out really strong in the cooler weather, and it also just has a nice bright citrus to where it works great in the warm weather. So now let's talk about compliments on this fragrance. Pretty self-explanatory here. Again, this is the type of DNA that has been tested over and over again, and it's pretty much just known that this type of fragrance gets compliments, and this one does. It's going to be a really solid compliment getter for those of you out there who are really looking for compliments and you really want to get them. This is going to do it for you. That's not to say that there aren't other fragrances out there that do that as well, because there are a ton of them. But just be aware that if you like this fragrance, it's also going to get you compliments. So that's not going to be a trade-off for you where, oh, you really like the fragrance, but it's not going to pull compliments, because that's not the case. This one is going to get really good reactions. People are going to be able to smell it on you because of the performance. And overall, it's just going to work pretty well. So let's go and talk about the price on this fragrance, and then we'll wrap it up. I got this bottle for like $120 or so off of eBay. eBay had a 15% discount, so I took advantage of that and picked this up because I've been wanting to. I actually bought it from a subscriber, so shout out to you if you're watching this. And yeah, I was pretty happy with the price I paid at like 120 bucks. Okay. Where it starts to get a little bit tricky is at the retail price or the price it goes for. It is pretty expensive, and that's a lot of people's main problem with this one is the price. It is an expensive fragrance, so it's really going to be up to you if you think it's worth the price or not. You have to make that decision for yourself. Do I think it's worth paying at, the full retail price or just the full selling price that this goes for? I personally wouldn't do it. That's why I was hesitant on picking this up in the first place. That's why I waited for a deal. This isn't something that I would purchase for that price, just because I have a lot of other fragrances out there that do the same thing that this one does. That's not to say that you don't. Maybe you like the scent and you want to purchase at retail price, go for it. At the end of the day, it's up to you to decide how you want to spend your money. Some people have more money to burn than others, so it's going to be up to you. Me personally, this isn't something that I would feel comfortable purchasing at full price. Maybe you think differently, maybe you think the same or agree with me. That's just kind of what it is. So guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. That is my updated review on Fragrance.one Office for Men. Let me know down below if you've tried this fragrance, what you think of it. If you haven't tried this one and you want to, let me know as well. Ultimately, I'm glad I picked up a bottle because this is something that I do plan on wearing. I do like the scent. I do enjoy it, so I am going to wear it. Glad I snagged a bottle here. So that's going to do it for this review, guys. So make sure you leave your comments down below. Tell me what you think of it. Make sure you give this video a like and subscribe. And have a great rest of your night. I'll see you guys in the next one.